Good morning, and welcome to the Lone Star Weekly Business Hour. Your host, Rick Schissler, is a Silver Fox advisor who personally has over 40 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. So sit back, pull out your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we join Rick Schissler in his Lone Star Weekly Business Hour.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. Well, let's get started with today's show. We'll start with our thought for the week, the long road ahead, and then a quick check-in with Dick on the business of Lone Star. And then I'm very pleased to announce that Sandra Louvier, Director and Center for Entrepreneurship, Houston Community College Northwest, boy, that's a mouthful, and three of the winners of this year's Newspring and Houston Community College Business Plan Competition would join us in the studio to discuss the competition. So sit back and get ready, pull out your pad and pen, and let's get started. First, a reminder, don't forget if you have a question or a thought you'd like to let me know about it, please do so. You can reach me via email here at the station at rick@irlonestar.com. Our thought for the week, the long road ahead, the long road ahead. All of us who have been in business and are currently in business know that sometimes we look down the road and it just seems like it goes on forever and ever as we move towards our goals for our business. I think it's important to keep an eye on what's down the road, but also I think it's extremely important, and I encourage you not to get discouraged because the road is long. There are things you can do on that long road trip that we take when we start a business that can make the trip shorter. There's no doubt about it. We've talked about some of them. One is you start out with enough money to make sure your business can survive in those early years. Another is to hire the right people. But one of the things I think is missed very often by people who start the journey of being a business owner and entrepreneur is they don't get any education. They don't take the time to get what I'll call a formal education. There are lots of educational opportunities out there. They're available. Many of them are available online today. So it's just a matter of sitting down, shutting your door, maybe after the business closes for the day, and listening to some education about how to do things better. Lots of topics: accounting, promotion, hiring people, how to exit your business. It goes on and on and on. But there's no doubt in my mind that education can help make your trip shorter, more pleasant, and really, most importantly, more successful for you and your family. So my encouragement is set aside some time. Take a brief detour from time to time and connect with an education resource, whether it be live in person, whether it be a school, or whether it be online. And today we're going to talk to some people who took that detour and who are very successful business people. And I'm going to ask them to share with you their detour they took by competing in the Houston Community College Business Plan Competition. You're in the right place if you're a business owner, manager, or you're considering starting your own business, because the Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County comes to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve your business, and to hear from some of our own local business leaders on how they have found success right here in Montgomery County and the greater Houston area. A quick reminder, we're on Facebook, so please like us on Facebook at the Weekly Business Hour page. That way, you will get all the shows as we post them each week and can listen to the podcast at your own leisure. Now, let's check in on the business right here at Lone Star. Dick, what's on tap for Lone Star this week?
I want to let your listeners know that coming in July 18th, the week of, Lone Star Community Radio will be going FM and will be on TV on Our City TV, Channel 12 Suddenlink. More information can be found at irlonestar.com, but it's a big announcement. We're going to keep talking about it. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. In preparation for this coming July 18th, we're adding new talk shows, and we're open to anyone who wants to start a show. Just contact me at dick@irlonestar.com.
And let me reinforce that if you've got a good idea, you've got a business that you run, or if you're involved in any field and you want to talk about it and can put a show together, please consider contacting Dick at irlonestar.com. Well, we're going to start the show now, the real show. We've got some wonderful people joining us today, as I mentioned earlier, and the leader of the band, if you will, is Sandra Louvier. She's the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship, Houston Community College, Northwest. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you and the folks, the winners of this year's business plan competition, or some of the winners. Talk to us a little bit and tell us about the program in general there at Houston Community College, Northwest.
Well, I came to Houston Community College in 2009. I was hired by Dr. Zachary Hodges and Dr. Maya Dernovo to come in and start a Center for Entrepreneurship that would provide more support for the people that were being recruited into a business plan competition that had been started for a couple years prior to my coming in. And so we started with launching a website that gathered people forth from the community who were not your typical student, but people who were at varying stages in their life ready to pursue really starting or running a small business. And so we went out there and found empty nesters, corporate fleers, veterans, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, all who were serious about taking steps to learn how to do what they wanted to do with what they already know to turn it into a business. And so we partnered with some strategic partners in the community who were doing workshops and seminars, and we recruited them into a class that prepared them better to go into a working competition where we would then take the draft that they had completed in the class of a business plan and fit training sessions with real-world entrepreneurs and mentors assigned each team in the competition to further refine the plan so that every team that got into the competition had a better chance of success. And that was the beginning, and it's just taken off since then.
Well, you know, it's interesting, and I think people need to hear this. This program, from my perspective, and I've been a judge the last several years of the business plan competition, is really geared towards helping people start real businesses. This is not your typical collegiate business plan competition, and there's some wonderful competitions around the country, around the world, in fact, these days, giving away millions of dollars in total. But they're college students, they're people that are studying, whereas your people are people who have been out there in the real world.
Well, we actually have both because we have some great credit classes that teach marketing, small business, entrepreneurship, and there are certificates available for people who are wanting to start a business at a future date, and people that do that want to work for some kind of similar small business to get experience first, which is a very viable and often recommended way to go forward. But entrepreneurs often see a need in the community, in the market, and then they start creating a solution to that need, and so they'll go out there and test their concept. So we actually find entrepreneurs at all varying levels and stages of their development and are looking for a way to better organize themselves. So some people will go out there and launch a product, sell it at community fairs, and then they realize they have something going and they want to learn how to turn it into something bigger, and so we'll find them that way. So we have certificates and credit programs. We even have a 2-year degree we're rolling out next spring in entrepreneurship for those that need a stronger foundation. But then there are others who've already gone out there, and they've, say, a nurse who has their own home health care experience in terms of a business. They've worked there. Now they want to go do it. So they're really great at being a nurse. They've even worked in a small business. Now they need to figure out how to get organized to do it for themselves. And then there are people who've actually already launched a small business and they want to take it to the next level and create a plan to grow it. And so our programs are designed to empower them as well.
You cover the waterfront, there's no doubt about it. And there's been, as I've seen over the last few years being involved as a judge, and as some of my fellow Silver Foxes, as we were talking earlier prior to the show, have become really involved in HCC. You've got a brand new location.
That's right.
Talk to us a little bit about that and what it offers.
All right. Well, first let me say that our entrepreneurial programs have grown so much since I came in 2009. When I came on board, I consider it to be kind of a philanthropic consulting project for a summer. And then I was brought on to do a grant for a year. And after that time, they created my job, and I interviewed for my own job and came on board as a full-time director of the Center for Entrepreneurship. We also started going for a grant for Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses, which is a grant to grow existing businesses. And we've had that now since 2011. We also have a Minority Business Development Agency Business Center grant that we've had for 3 years, and it's been renewed recently, and that helps small business owners grow through getting more contracts and through exporting. And so when I first came, I was one part-time employee for a short amount of time, and now we have about 25 people throughout HCC who are dedicated to entrepreneurship. So it's been amazing what's happened. And to that extent, we've also earned our space. We were a startup within a big organization that earned our space. And so now we have 2 centers for entrepreneurship just in West Houston, at Spring Branch, where the business plan competition happens. And then we have a newly built out 3rd floor at our A-Leaf Hayes Road campus, where we share the entire 70,000 square foot floor with Center for Entrepreneurship, 10,000 small businesses, and our filmmaking program. So that campus is very dynamic in that we have a huge engineering program and center of excellence there, a huge center of excellence in media arts and technology, and we're building a new West Houston Institute building just adjacent to our building where the 3rd and 4th floors have recently been built out. So there's a lot of opportunities for igniting entrepreneurship in cross-collaboration with other industries, which is kind of how creativity and innovation occurs these days. You have to cross-collaborate with other disciplines in order to fully find solutions to problems for the market.
You know, obviously, just as you ran through that and you mentioned before you started, you've had tremendous growth, but I mean, what evidence of that growth, the phenomenal programs, like you say, and I love that expression, earned your space. In the minute or two we have left in our first segment today, tell me what you think the future might be in entrepreneurial education.
I think it's vastly important. In fact, one of our missions at HCC is to create entrepreneurial thinkers across disciplines. We have some incredible entrepreneurial programs just in the greater Houston area alone. The Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship at U of H, phenomenal. The Rice Business Plan Competition is one of the richest business plan competitions in the world. But HCC's sweet spot is that we educate 60 to 70,000 employees and students throughout the greater Houston area. And what kind of impact could we make not only if we help people start businesses and grow them, but create entrepreneurially thinking employees, because they're working for those small business owners, and that's how we'll impact the greater Houston area the most, is creating entrepreneurial thinkers, problem solvers, and solution-oriented employees for our small business owners in the greater Houston area. So I think the impact is going to be huge, and community colleges as well as universities have a great space in that area to deliver forward-thinking employees to grow a small business.
Well, and if you're like myself, I'd say in conclusion that I'm a big believer in small business. Obviously, I've lived it, but everything that you read here says it's the real growth engine for this economy, the American economy. And we've got an absolutely fantastic effort going right now with HCC and some of the other institutions around Houston. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our first break of the morning. And when we come back, you're going to get a chance to hear from some of the winners of the competition. Our first guest will be Todd Bermont of TCC Learning. Look forward to talking to Todd, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tailorized PR works exclusively to get your business noticed. Public relations is how others perceive you and your company. By tailorizing the marketing strategy exclusively to your business, your story is told. Tailorized PR services include networking, social media, blogs, press releases, public appearances, and event planning. To learn about Tailorized PR, call Margie Taylor at 936-828-6881 or visit the website at tailorizedpr.com. My business is tailored to yours.
This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. We are here interviewing people affiliated with the Houston Community College Newspring Business Plan Competition. And first up is the man who won first place this year, Todd Bermont. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Rick.
Well, Todd, you were the winner this year. Obviously, the program that's offered has been successful for you. Why did you enter the competition?
Well, it's interesting. I'm really proud of the product that I developed, and I believe in the need for that product. But as a small business person, I just felt like a lot of times I was banging my head against the wall and just struggling to get past some of those initial barriers to success. And I was really looking for some mentoring and education to take my business to the next level.
And so you joined up on the competition, which has a lot of moving parts to it. A lot of people don't realize this is not just show up at a certain time and present your plan and hope you win the gold cup, so to speak. There was a lot of education involved. Could you walk us through what you went through to finally arrive at that presentation?
That's a great point. And that was what really intrigued me about the competition, was the fact that not only do you have the opportunity to win some significant prize money, but more importantly, you have the opportunity to get education through evening workshops. We also took a continuing education course, which I hadn't taken a continuing education course for quite some time, and it really showed the tremendous value of doing that. And then one of the sponsors, Newspring, provided mentors as a part of the competition as well, and that was just extremely valuable, working with Heather Bain and Mark Sorrell. They just were a tremendous support system for me, and I can't say enough about the instructors of the workshop as well, Richard Tyler and Jack Berry. They've been there, they've done it, and I just couldn't wait for the Tuesday evening workshops to really help me take the business to the next level.
So this competition actually has, at least 3 parts. As an educational component, where you're required to attend classes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, what do you cover in those classes?
Well, in those classes, they go through each of the components of the business plan itself. Everything from the initial business concept to how are you going to finance it? How are you going to, one of the things they talked about in the workshops specifically, and one of the areas that is really the most critical, is the customer acquisition strategy. And it's interesting because in the education, they said one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they focus so much on the product itself or the service itself that they don't give enough emphasis on the marketing and the customer acquisition strategy. And I have to say that in 2020 hindsight, that's one of the rules that I really broke. I was so focused on creating the best possible product, I didn't spend at the time nearly as much time as I should have on how am I going to acquire customers and market the product and get people to know it.
Obviously a very important point. Now, so you did the education component, then you went into the workshops with Jack and Richard.
That's correct. And so with the education component, you had the opportunity to either take an ongoing live class or I took an online continuing education course through Houston Community College. And then we had the evening workshops with Jack Berry and Richard Tyler, and then they also brought in a couple of guest speakers from local lending institutions and whatnot to take us through the financial aspects of the business. So those were 2 of the components. And then the third component was the live one-on-one mentoring, where we had the opportunity to work with the Newspring mentors, and that was just an incredible part of the experience. One of my mentors was in the online education space, and the other mentor in investment space, and both of them were just a wealth of information.
It sounds like you got a lot of real intense help in examining your business.
It really caused me to rethink the whole business, and quite honestly had a quantum shift on the whole business plan as a result of participating in this competition. And now, instead of banging my head against the wall every day, I'm excited, I'm energized, and it's amazing how you can have the same product and the same need, but just tweak the strategy and tweak the positioning just a touch. It's almost like a recipe to where, if you're missing just 1 or 2 ingredients, or you don't have the right amount of those ingredients, sometimes the recipe is not going to come out so good. And that's really the value of the competition, was it really helped me refine the winning recipe for the business.
Well, the actual final part of that is that you made an oral presentation for a group of judges, which I mentioned earlier. I was one of them. So you had to be able to deliver at least verbally, and there was some writing involved into it, but it really was convince the judges that you were really in tune, if you will, with your strategy, with your business.
That's true, and that was a real challenge because we had a very specific time frame. You had 15 minutes, and you couldn't go over that 15 minutes to go through your entire business concept. And one of the things I talk about in my curriculum, helping folks with the job search process, is the importance of practicing for interviews. And I must have practiced for that presentation 50, 60 times, and trying to get it down to that 15 minutes was a real challenge.
Plus, you had to field questions from the judges.
That's right.
And they were some tough questions, I know.
They were extremely tough, but also thought-provoking. It was really interesting that I even learned participating in that final presentation with the types of questions that the judges were asking and the feedback from the judges. So it was just a phenomenal experience.
Well, let me ask you this, because we've talked about your business. What is your business?
Great question. Right now, there's over 94 million people not working in this country that are of working age. And of the recent college grads from 2014, 2015, and 2016, according to a recent Accenture study, 51% of them are underemployed and working in jobs that don't require a college degree. And I wanted to create a program that could help and positively impact people's lives. So what we've created is an online courseware curriculum that teaches folks, whether it's a student or whether it's an unemployed job seeker, a step-by-step process on how to land that ideal job. And we cover topics such as resumes, interviewing, finding the opportunities, and ultimately selling yourself throughout the process.
Well, obviously, with 90-plus million people out of work or needing work, you've got a huge market. How do you market your product?
Well, right now, it's interesting because while it's an internet-based business, the core of the marketing has been more old-school, traditional networking, cold calling, prospecting, attending different trade shows and conferences. The core folks that I focus on, especially as a result of the competition, we've kind of refined that focus, going after really two core areas. Number one, providing the courseware as a part of an existing course within the college and university environment, so targeting faculty and deans and vice chancellors. And then the other target market being the workforce agencies and helping them. Right now, over 26% of the unemployed have been unemployed for over a half a year. So I believe that there's a tremendous need for people to be educated on this process. So we target the workforce agencies as well and using some old-fashioned techniques to do that as well. And then certainly we do some Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well to try to drive traffic to the site.
Let me ask you this. Now, you won a prize. How much did you win?
$12,000.
And what do you plan to do with that money?
Well, I plan to do several things with the money. First of all, I've used a lot of it already in the aspect of business development. One of the things as a result of the competition was to position the product as courseware versus a tool for career services. So to test out that concept, I participated in two recent conferences in Austin. One was a Career and Technical Education Conference, and another one was a Continuing Education Conference, and received tremendous feedback on the product at both of those conferences. So the prize money went towards going into those conferences, and then since to a lot of the opportunities have been in Dallas and northern Texas, and so we've used the prize money as well to help fund those business development trips. And then also as a result of refocusing the business after having gone through the business plan competition, want to do some updates to the website to reflect the new focus, and we'll be spending money in that area. And then we'll also be spending money on a couple press releases coming out, one targeting the workforce agencies because we just kicked off a really successful pilot at the Central Oklahoma Workforce Investment Board. And then we also just kicked off a great pilot as well at the University of Texas Arlington for a Master's in Mechanical Engineering program. So we're going to be doing a press release on both of those pilots as well.
What would your recommendation be to if someone approached you and asked about this educational opportunity that you were afforded through Newspring and HCC?
I would say jump on it because I tell you, a lot of times when you're a small business person, you can feel like you're on an island all by yourself. And the opportunity to get mentoring, the opportunity to get education, the opportunity to network with other business owners, I just can't speak highly enough about this tremendous opportunity.
Well, you know, in my introduction, my thought for the week piece that are encouragement, I really personally believe education is critical. And, you know, you're a shining example. Not only did you refocus, you won the competition, you refocused, redefined some of your business. You've been kind enough to share that with us. And I would also add my encouragement to that, as I said earlier in my piece, take a detour, if you will, take a break, connect. And I personally believe this is one of the finest opportunities for entrepreneurs or existing small business people to connect with.
I absolutely agree. And in fact, I've mentioned to Sandra several times that Houston Community College now is a customer for life because, you know, you forget how much you don't know and how much you can learn. And going through the continuing education through Houston Community College is a tremendous experience, one that I plan on repeating.
Well, Todd, I appreciate you taking time to join us today and share your personal story. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our next break here at the bottom of the hour. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by another winner. Tiffany Williams of Twice Media Productions will join us. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
Are you planning on growing, expanding, or possibly selling your business? All of these business opportunities require developing strategies and setting goals in order to achieve success. Providing specialized consulting in these and other key business decisions is what Silver Fox Advisors have been doing since 1986. Let us help you today. Call us at 713-343-3718. It might be the most profitable call that you ever make.
Running a business is hard. Pressure to maximize profits and minimize loss continue to grow. Schooley Mitchell of Houston can help. Their independent consultants will ensure you are receiving the best communications and credit card processing services at the best prices. Most importantly, their services are completely risk-free. If they don't find savings for you, there is no fee. Contact Schooley Mitchell of Houston today to find out. Call 832-314-1815 or visit their website at schooleymitchell.com/JM Polio.
You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host. And as I mentioned before the break, we have another great winner, if you will, in the studio. In fact, she showed her expertise by helping us take a photo during the break. So, Tiffany Williams, CEO and Creative Director for Twice Media Productions. Welcome to Lone Star.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, why did you enter the competition?
I entered the competition because I really wanted to step back and look at my company more objectively, and I knew that I needed a format that I could really just focus in on what I needed to do to grow my business. I needed that structure, and so the competition provided that for me.
Well, what is your business? Twice. I know you know how to work a still camera. That I learned, right? I saw that in action. Tell us about Twice Media.
Twice Media Productions is a full-service video marketing company, and basically what we do is help a brand's message come alive through visual storytelling. So we can help them build trust with consumers and really convey their message to the world. And we do that two ways, through internal and external communication. So on the external side is video marketing, and on the internal side is training videos for corporate communications. And in addition to our video marketing services, we also do photography and mobile video training, where we teach companies to shoot and edit professional-looking videos from their mobile devices so that they can post content and stay relevant online.
You know, that's so important today, is to stay relevant, stay up to date. And it was funny, we were taking pictures and we had several different cameras, but it seemed to be that the mobile device was the easiest to work. Do you find that to be true?
The mobile device is definitely a lot easier to work, especially for amateurs who don't normally use professional grade gear. But they produce content just like the professional ones. My iPhone 6 here shoots 4K video, and that's incredible. And so in our workshops, we teach people how to do that more effectively so that their photos and their videos come out looking more professional quality, and it's a representation of their brand that they're proud of.
You know, that's an interesting change in the way we market, the fact that we actually carry that camera around with us all the time.
Yes.
But there are still tips and ways to do things that make them better.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can attach all kind of professional grade accessories, microphones, lenses, everything to your mobile devices, edit your videos right there and post them instantly online and really stay engaged with your audience and stay top of mind.
Well, that's so important today. You became part of the process is the business competition. And we heard from Todd kind of a simple walkthrough, but let's focus in on that pre-qualification process, the classes that you took, continuing education. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with that.
That was a great experience for me because, again, it helped me look at my business more objectively. I was able to read and hear from the different experts that the instructor brought in, And it really prepared me more for the competition, because a lot of those things that I thought I knew when I prepared my business plan a few years ago, I had either forgotten about or just wasn't as aware of it as I thought I was. So that education and just going back at it just really helped me understand better of what I was getting into for the competition. So it was a all-around great experience.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, an educational component. Did you have an educational background at all to help you prepare your initial business plan?
I didn't have an educational background in business at all. In fact, I started my company 3 months after I finished grad school, and my master's is in journalism and documentary filmmaking. So I've never technically had a job before. So no, I had no experience whatsoever. So that class, again, just really helped me hone in on everything that I needed to do to really prepare for this competition and ultimately grow my business so that I could prepare a plan that could take me there where I was trying to go.
So this sounds like it was a really positive, if you will, use my word, detour for you in your business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me ask you something. What do you think is a winner? What do you think the strongest point out of all the education, the mentoring, what was the strongest point that helped you become a winner?
My coaches were very supportive. They would come to me and say, well, maybe we should meet again, and maybe, we should take more time and focus on this part, because you seem to be doing really well in this area, but you seem to be struggling in this area, so let's focus here. So they walked me through the process. They were always there. They also helped me a lot with the financial aspect. As an entrepreneur, business owner, you have to know your numbers, and that's just not my strong suit. I'm a creative thinker. I love videos and telling stories and beautiful images. That's my strong suit, and so they really kind of helped me sit down and learn my numbers, and that was just a tremendous help to me.
Just so our audience understands, these mentors or coaches, they're volunteers.
Absolutely. They are volunteers. And my coaches, John Hartman and John Krebs, they were, like I said, very supportive. They would always take that extra step to meet with me. We just had lunch a few days ago, even though the competition is over. And so, again, I mean, it's one of those things where you're establishing these relationships with these people who are very knowledgeable about things, and they can look at your business completely objective because they're not in it every day like you. So they can offer that support and offer that guidance that's necessary as a small business owner. Todd mentioned that it can feel like you're on an island sometimes, and it absolutely can. So, again, just having those extra set of eyes on things and that extra perspective is really, really beneficial.
And both these individuals had a background in business, I assume.
So John Hartman did have experience in business. Actually, he's a Harvard graduate. And then John Krebs, his son, has had several successful businesses, and he came from the corporate sector. But again, they both offer those different perspectives that's necessary to really take a business to the next level.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic opportunity. Yeah. Just that alone, not all the other things. Now, the actual competition, how did you prepare for your time, as Todd said, your 15 minutes of fame and glory on the stage?
I actually love presenting. That is something I do often, and but I always treat every presentation like it's the last one I'm ever going to do, so I put my all into it. So I did prepare. I have a really good friend who actually is a presentation coach, and so he came in. He was actually one of the sponsors for the business plan competition, and he helped me go over my presentation and really prepare, as well as my coaches. They helped me structure things and make sure I was following the format that was outlined in the requirements. And like Todd said, I must have practiced 50, 60 times just trying to make sure that I stayed within that time frame, that I spoke to all of those points, and that I really showed the judges why I felt I was deserving of that prize money.
Well, let me ask you, talking about the prize money, what have you done, or what do you plan to do with the money you won?
We got a new client management system as well as a new storage system, and so I'm a really big geek when it comes to technology, and so we got this storage system that's basically like Dropbox on steroids, and it allows us to have up to 12 or it's either 12 or 16 gigabytes of storage for our clients to communicate with us, for us to communicate internally, my team and I. So we did that, and just to get a few equipment upgrades as well, just to enhance our customer experience.
Well, that's so important today. Now, your customers, who are your customers? I know you do corporate training, but who are just profile generally, who would be your typical customer?
So we target marketing professionals within corporate marketing departments. And that is because they are spending the most with video production. And so we've decided to focus on that market specifically. But yes, we do work with the corporate sector. We also work with large-scale nonprofits. So we worked with companies such as Shell and CenterPoint Energy and Wells Fargo, a host of others who've trusted us to kind of help tell their story, or who have taken our training so that they can, again, post more content and stay engaged with the demographic that they're trying to reach.
You know, but interesting, one thing, you mentioned a lot of large corporations who I think our listeners, they would know the names, but when I think about a mobile device, it's available to a cross-section of people, small businesses alike, and you could offer them the opportunity through your training, I assume, so I can kind of, if you will, look like the big boys in my communications efforts.
Absolutely, and that's one of the great things about the workshop is because, yes, corporate individuals do take the workshop because they see the value, but small business owners can definitely take it as well. And it's a way for them to share their story online and, again, stay relevant and post content and stay engaged without breaking the bank, because there's going to be several instances where you either can't afford or it's not necessary to bring in a full-scale production company. And obviously, we'd love for you to call us every single time, but we know that's not the reality for small business owners. So by taking the class, they can better prepare themselves and take control of their marketing, if you will, because they'll have the device right there in their hands for significantly less than it would cost to bring us in all the time.
Well, you know, as we wrap up this segment, if someone approached you and said, gosh, I heard you on the radio, I heard about this competition, what would you tell them is most important to think about before they enter or decide to move into this program?
I would say definitely understand the time commitment. You can't miss a class, so you need to go in knowing that. And also, really don't look at it from a prize money standpoint. Yeah, prize money is great. Don't get me wrong. But you really want to go into it and understand how you can grow your business. And that's exactly what the competition allows you to do. So even for those individuals who didn't win, they were still able to get the training. They were still able to get the mentorship. They were still able to walk away with a business plan that they can really use and take to investors or take to a bank and get a loan. And really use it to grow their business to scale. And so I would say just understand before you go in that is the real goal of the competition, is to come out with something that you know you can use to take your company to that next level.
Making your business better.
Absolutely.
Well, Tiffany, I really appreciate you taking time to join us today. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we're going to kind of have a little bit of a roundtable, kind of wrap things up, talk to our winners, and also Sandra about it, and a little bit more information about the competition. So please plan to stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
Are you paying too much for your personal or business insurance? Patricia Cooper Insurance on FM 1488 and Tamina Road is an independent agency that can shop multiple carriers to find the best rates and coverages to fit your specific needs. Call us today at 281-356-9955 and let us go to work for you. Patricia Cooper Insurance, where our customers are treated like family.
This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor and host of the Weekly Business Hour. I think we've had a wonderful show today, learning about the Newspring HCC Business Plan Competition. I want to thank everybody that's here in the studio for their participation. And now we're going to do kind of a wrap-up and answer some questions that are still out there, I'm sure. And also remind you that if you have other questions, you can always contact me, Rick, at IR Lone Star. And before I go on, I don't want to forget to remind you that Lone Star Community Radio will soon be available on FM 104.5 and 106.1 on your radio dial, offering you, our listener, both a tune-in and internet radio station. Well, Sandra, we're going to start with you. Since you're the leader of the band, as I said when we began, you've done a lot of great work at HCC in this entrepreneurship program. And one thing I don't want to forget to mention is that you personally and the college have been recognized on a national basis. Share that with us.
Oh, that's true. Yes, we are avid participants participants in the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship, and we've been recognized by presenting there every year about how we're growing our entrepreneurial programs. And we've also been able to get awards, national awards, for people that have moved through the business plan competition. Last year, 4 completers of the competition were recognized and they were given more prize money after the competition in the summer. Dr. Zachary Hodges has been recognized as an entrepreneurial president for the whole country back in 2013-14, and we were also honored to get a National Impact Award. It was awarded to me, but I consider it to be an award that was given to the whole college for what we'd done even at that point, and we've just grown bigger and bigger ever since. So that's part of our mission at the Center for Entrepreneurship, is to bring attention to our programs and recognition, and bring attention to the successes of the business plan competition participants. And what was neat about that was, of course, we follow and promote the winners of our competition, but this year we had 26 teams that won that opportunity to move through the competition and to create plans to grow their businesses. So they've done so well even recently after the competition. One guy, Eric Calderon, was in media arts and technology at HCC, and he started a business a while ago, and he's about to graduate from the Media Arts and Technology program, but he's grown his business so much by bringing in more money than the prize money he could have won that he's been recognized as Student of the Year over 22,000 students just in HCC Northwest alone, and he's implementing his growth plan. So last year we had completers of the competition who had grown so much just since the competition in the summer that they were recognized nationally too. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, I think it's important for our listeners to hear that not only do you have a growing program out there, but it is a quality program as seen by the recognition on a national basis in a lot of areas, and I really appreciate that. You know, one of the things, Sandra, that we've maybe forgotten to talk about today is this program is backed by a lot of sponsors, a lot of people working on this program. Would you share some of that information with us?
Yes, that's right. I like to end with a lot about the sponsors. We have some incredible supporters that bring to the competition not only prize money, but in-kind sponsorship as well. And so, and they come back each year. Wallace State Bank, Amagi Bank, both have been repeat sponsors of the business plan competition, and they also provide support services during the competition, before it, and after to the alumni of the competition through one-on-one counseling. In fact, our new Center for Entrepreneurship, we've earned our space and we have more space, so we provide 1-hour counseling sessions right there in our Center for Entrepreneurship for entrepreneurs who are seeking funding. Lift Fund is a new sponsor of the competition, but they've been a strategic partner of the Center for Entrepreneurship and our 10,000 Small Businesses program for quite a while, and they're micro lenders. And so some people start with a micro loan before they graduate to other types of funding for their business. Just this coming Friday, in fact, we're having a lender panel where we'll be talking about crowdfunding, the SBA resources, SBA loans, factoring, traditional loans, and angel investing. And so these are the kind of things that people that are first coming to the Center for Entrepreneurship might try a workshop or a seminar. They get connected to a lot of resources, then they learn about these classes that they can take, and then they decide, how much do I need for me? We want to meet the small business owner or the aspiring entrepreneur at their level and provide them a certificate if they want that, but we let them choose, and part of that is we counsel them. We'll take them to a kind of an intake counseling session, and we'll help them make decisions about what they need. So they may go on a course of taking 2 or 3 or 4 courses, or one of our year certificates of entrepreneurship, or they may take 1 or 2 classes and take a run at the competition, and then they might come back and say, okay, now I want to pick up a marketing class or an accounting class. So we find that we want to meet the entrepreneurs at the level of where they are, and entrepreneurs who really want to start a business now want education and training that's immediately applicable to their business. So that's the kind of environment we create. Workshops and seminars that are specific subject matter, quick, action-packed and information-packed sources, and then one-on-one training, and then environments where they're in the room with lots of other entrepreneurs who are trying to pursue the same thing, who understand how important it is to do business planning. In fact, I think one of them could share well what it was like to be in a room with 26 others who were taking all of this very seriously and growing together.
Well, let's ask that question. Todd, what was it like?
Well, it was just an incredible experience from the standpoint that we're all going through a lot of the same things, and being able to learn from each and every business owner was just a great experience.
What about you, Tiffany? Did you pick up anything particular, the fact that you were in a room with 20-some-odd people in the same position you are?
Absolutely. As Todd mentioned, it was being in a room full of people who are basically on the same mission as you. They're trying to grow their businesses. It's infectious, that energy that's in the room, and to learn from them and network with them and see what synergies are there, what potential business opportunities, strategic partnerships, and other things like that. So it was a great environment to be in.
Yeah, I can well imagine. One thing I want to make sure our listeners understand, and what Sandra was saying, is that not only the flexibility and the options, but the fact this is open to everybody, folks. Anybody that's an entrepreneur or wants to start a business or in business. And you don't have to be in the business plan competition. So be sure you understand everything we're talking about is available. The sponsors that you have, you mentioned.
Yes, we have. I mentioned some of the sponsors. They are prize money sponsors. We also have individual entrepreneurs that have successful businesses like Pro Video Systems, and an entrepreneur who is wealthy enough with several businesses owned that he's also a full-time instructor at HCC because he wants to give back. And he also sponsors a competition. His name is Dr. Mohammed Tarani, and he sponsors the competition. And just this week, one of the recent BPC or Business Plan Competition alumni is coming in to present a $1,000 check for next year's competition. And she's just a completer of this year's competition, but she benefited from it so much that she's sponsoring next year's competition. So we are grateful and appreciative of our prize money sponsors, but we also have in-kind sponsors like Tiffany mentioned. Someone coached her on how to do her presentation. Jonathan Sprinkles with Presentation Powers is sponsoring the competition, such that our top 3 winners are all going to get to participate in a 3-day conference later this summer in the end of July. Small Business Today magazine, they've given a media package to Todd as a top winner, where he's gone on their radio show and he's being presented in Small Business Today magazine. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, they're going to be featuring the company in a profile coming up in an upcoming magazine, and it was a lot of fun participating in the radio program as well, and just a great publication.
Yes, and True Color Graphics does a lot of the promotional materials for all of HCC. And Dick Helmy, who's also high in the Houston West Chamber of Commerce and an entrepreneur himself, involved in mentoring at the U of H Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship. He's an amazing sponsor of the competition because he's wise, he's an entrepreneur, and he does all our promotional materials. And then even a past winner provides a baking, the baked goods, Three Brothers Bakery, for the competition. So we're just getting more and more sponsors along the way because they see the value, and entrepreneurs pay it forward by mentoring, by contributing to the competition, by giving back because they want to give back to people because they were helped by people bringing them up. And so it's an amazing community to be a part of. Then we have other strategic partners like SCORE that we partner with to do our workshops and seminars. So it's been an amazing journey. The support after the competition to keep them growing is just growing more. Silver Fox Advisors, we have an entrepreneur in residence now, David Regenbaum. We're doing more roundtables. It's going to be amazing what comes from now forward.
Well, if nothing else, folks should have gotten a sense that this is a place to be, and that's Houston Community College. Wrapping up the show today, Tiffany, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you about what you do, where do they go?
They can visit www.twicemediaproductions.com.
Okay, and Brent?
TCClearning.com. That's TCClearning.com for your job search assistance.
And Sandra?
HCCBizConnect.org, BIZCONNECT.org, 713-718-6650.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll be with us next week, 11 o'clock on Monday, Put it on your calendar. See you then.
Thanks for checking out this production on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, and TV media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production, produced by the show host and Dick Schissler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schissler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.